Well guys, here's something that you probably thought that you'd never hear me say that I own or that I built, my own Windows computer. This is running Windows 7 Professional. This is my home theater computer. I decided a little while back that I wanted to go into the home theater computer arena, play around with it and see how I liked it. So far everything's running good. This video isn't necessarily to review the home theater computer in itself, although I will give my take on it in a minute. But what I wanted to talk about was getting this thing up and running. The parts that you see listed are going to be pieces that over the course of time I wanted to build this relatively inexpensively, so I waited on clearance things and built a really good system for a decent price. I had considered smaller items like like a Mac Mini or something along those lines, and this particular computer will probably stay as it is for a little while longer, but eventually probably you'll turn it into a NAS system eventually. I wanted to keep things really cheap, and so at first my thought was to go with Ubuntu. And I wanted to be really hypercritical of Ubuntu for a minute because I'm very disappointed. And I'm not disappointed because I didn't know any better. I'm disappointed because I actually took the time to go online to different forums and I tried to find hardware that would work with Ubuntu that was listed as compatible hardware. And that's really hard to do. My primary problems were video cards and wireless cards. Pretty much everything else as far as hardware parts, they were fine. All the way down, oddly enough, to this. This is my Lenovo. There you go, get some of the shine. I put a video up of this. This is a mouse, as you can see, moving around back there, that works very well, even under the Linux installation. So if you needed one of these and you've got a successful working Linux thing, very cool little item. The new ones have the backlit keyboards, and the older models do not. But these work very well. So besides that, the Ubuntu problem that I had was that there was always video and audio sync problems, that the wireless card never seemed to work properly, and that sometimes when you turn the system off and then turned it back on, all kinds of shit would happen. And I couldn't get it to be 100% stable, working, and flawless. Different videos had different audio sync problems, so I couldn't even go into VLC and gain or lose a second or so to get it to work, because every time I would play a different video I'd get a different result. Excuse me. And I got very aggravated. And I don't blame Linux directly. I blame the fact that it's a free software, that people that obtain it are very hardcore about like not paying for things. They don't want to give you $1 for an application in order to make it work right. And for those reasons, the companies that make all these things, you know, like Lenovo or MSI or whatever, ATI and NVIDIA as an example, they don't sit down and make a driver for that. They make one for Windows, and if you have it installed on a Mac or something like that, of course they make one for those. But they don't give two craps about the Linux installation. They don't care. And a lot of other things work like that under Linux. It's not supported because it's a very underused system, and it's an old sorry, it's an old fallacy that used to exist about Mac stuff, is that nothing worked for it and all that other kind of stuff. And true, not as much stuff worked for it, but Linux is like a barren wasteland. Sure, they've got the Ubuntu Software Center and they've got some things that are going to make it better, but I feel extremely let down that I took the time and the energy to make sure that I purchased hardware that supposedly worked, and yet I really and truly could not get it to work, even when I resorted to getting some assistance online, and also showing that I wasn't a noob, that I did not bother to search or anything like that, but that they still couldn't even help me out. You know, like try this, try that, and it's still to no avail, could fix my problem. So I ended up running Windows 7. This was the Windows 7 Professional that Microsoft had on sale a little while back. I scooped up a copy for $30. installed it. It did tons of updates. And actually, nearly every day it reminds me that I need to do more and more and more updates, and that I have to scan my computer because it might be infected, or it might be dead, or it might, I don't know what the hell it was. But every day it tells me that it's installing an update before it turns off, or that I need to run a system scan. And that little orange thing right here, that it's green now, but when I turned it on before this video, it was blinking orange, and I was probably infected with all kinds of shit. And anyway. So yay, Windows. However, I do give props to the fact that it does work flawlessly in terms of it installed, it figured out what it was that I had on my system. It goes, hey, this is what you have installed, I recognize it, and this is the thing that you need. Go click on this button right here and it'll make it work. And for that reason, I have to applaud Microsoft. They made the installation and the function of it very simple. So yeah, I have a Windows machine. Crazy, isn't it? I also wanted to take time, now that I have your attention. I want all of the Microsoft fanboys, and for the Microsoft haters, and for the Mac haters out there, to take just a quick moment and let me just speak to you for just a quick second. Every person that you see using a Mac, let me just say that 99% of the people that you see using a Mac, they've used Windows before. They've used Windows, or they currently use Windows. They have a job that they go to and they use Windows at that job, but when they come home they still actually prefer their Mac. They prefer their iPad, they prefer their iPhone, or their iPod Touch, or whatever it is that they've got. You really and truly have got to realize that you and me are the 1% of this tech company, you know, this world that we live in, that care really way too much about what it is that we're using to accomplish the goals that we're accomplishing. You need to find some unity here, okay? You need to find the common ground that people have played with this. They do know what Windows is. It's not like they've never seen it. It's just that they found something else and it works for them. Everybody doesn't drive a Ford. Everybody doesn't drive a Chevy or a Mazda or a Datsun, Nissan. A Nissan or any of that crap. Everybody has their own little take on what they like. So let them have that opportunity to do that. So all I'm asking is that the hating between the two parties, just calm down.